Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Big Guy, Little Guy Podcast, and welcome back to Sports Hour. I'm very, very excited for this episode of Sports Hour because football weekend, man. Football weekend is, this is week 2 of football weekend, I guess. Did not do a video for week 1 for personal reasons and just scheduling with me and Anthony's been off and still off because he's got a new job now and we're trying to work stuff in, and it's been pretty hard, but we're gonna try, and I've got a schedule printed out and hopefully we can stick to it. I doubt it, but never say never. But let's just jump into this. Week 2 of the NFL happened, and I think week 3 of college football happened. So we're jumping into it like we always do. So here we go. We're starting off with my team, Washington Redskins. Yes, get over it. I'm a Skins fan. I've been a Redskins fan since 2001, and I'm going to call them Redskins until the day I die, unless they come up with a really good name, which football team is not it. But Washington beats Giants 29-30. Well, I said that backwards, 30-29 on Thursday Night Football. And this one, if you know Washington's past, like their history in the past few years, you know that Washington's not good on national televised games. We're not good on Sunday Night Football. We're not good on Thursday Night Football. Monday night, we suck. Hell, we even suck on London nights. But we turned it around. We beat the Giants with the last second field goal, which Dustin Hopkins didn't miss, but there was an offsides penalty, and which gave us another shot, and Dustin Hopkins hooked it again, but it somehow went through. I don't know how. Okay, let's get on with Taylor Heinicke. He may be one of the most accurate passers I've ever seen in the league. Like, it sounds stupid. And I read something today where he's got the most completions from his first 3 starts than anybody in history. So he's not a bad quarterback. And the throws he was making, I'm not saying they were the greatest I've ever seen, but most of the time he put the ball to where only his receiver could catch it, and sometimes his receivers didn't catch it, but he had one late bad throw that nearly cost us the game. He had an interception late, and it almost cost us the game, and he was able to recover and lead us down for a field goal to win. It was an amazing game by Taylor Heinicke. Wow. Taylor Heinicke. Well, for the Redskins, last week, which was week 1, I struggled coming out of week 1. I was like, who do we play at quarterback? Because Ryan Fitzpatrick had only 13 yards, and he couldn't find a rhythm with our offense to start with. And I was wondering, I was like, should we play Heinicke, who come in and went like 12 of 15 and for over 150 yards and a touchdown? Or should we stick with Ryan Fitzpatrick? And I guess this has kind of been the story of Ryan Fitzpatrick's career. He's always, like, when he does become a starter, he sucks. Then he gets benched, and then he'll come in later due to injury or the starter just not being good. And he magics it. He fits magic. But that's not a question we have to worry about for the next few months because Ryan Fitzpatrick did get injured in that game, which led Taylor Heinicke to come in and do very well against the Chargers. And he started tonight, did very well. Not tonight, Thursday night. Bear with me, folks. Both defenses really struggled. It was no secret, but Redskins did get a good couple stops there at the end to really help us. So Yeah, I was impressed with the Redskins as a team. Our defense was had some bad plays, and we don't we don't play well against a scrambling quarterback. And Daniel Jones, without a doubt, can run the ball, and it didn't go well for our defense, but we made up for it. So let's move on to the Cowboys. Get a win over the Chargers, their first win of the season, which it was Redskins too, I guess. But 20-17, and it was a very good game for the Cowboys. From what we've known of them for the past 4 or 5 seasons, they usually, I don't know how to say it, but they come out very flat. They did not come out. I mean, 20 points is not great for an offense nowadays, but for the Cowboys, it's all right, And I like the way they played. Dak come out, played very conservative, 23 of 27, but he had 0 touchdowns, and I think he threw a pick if I'm not mistaken. So something is bugging me on my eye. And Tony Pollard, he had a killer day for Dallas out of the backfield. You know, Ezekiel Elliott had a decent day, but I've seen reports saying, is Tony Pollard the answer the Cowboys need at running back? And I'm not so sure. I mean, he went like 13 for 109 yards and a touchdown. Zeke had 76 yards and a touchdown. So it's hard for me to say, but the way Elliott has played the last few seasons, not worth a top 5 paid running back. He's not to me. I'm sorry. And if you're a Cowboys fan, Anthony, I'm sorry. But Tony Pollard might be their answer. I'm not sure. I guess we'll just have to see moving forward if Elliott can pick up some pace, because these first 2 teams the Dallas Cowboys have played, I bet I said Mavericks. The Dallas Cowboys have played have been pretty decent teams. Defending Super Bowl champion. And they took on a rookie of the year of last year. So it's not like they're playing nobodies. Defense, like I said, defense played very good against a good offense. And there's no doubt a lot of people are like, well, are the Chargers any good? That they are. They have Justin Herbert and Eckler out of the backfield. And they got Keenan Allen. They both wear number 13. That's why I said Mike Evans. And speaking of Mike Evans, we're going to lead on to the Buccaneers. Kill themselves a Falcon again. Well, I guess Tom Brady killed again. But 48-25. This until the fourth quarter, it was a decent game. It was a game worth watching until the fourth quarter. Tom Brady went for 5 touchdowns. He threw one in the fourth when they were up pretty decent. But is he aiming for the MVP this season? Which I guess every player is. It's not your goal is not just win a Super Bowl. I mean, you want to be the best player you can be, and Tom Brady has proven that so far. Nine touchdowns to 3 turnovers. He has 2 interceptions, and he lost a fumble in this game, which he hasn't lost in over a year. So I believe he's definitely aiming for that MVP, to be like, I'm 44 and I'm the best player in the league still. I hope he gets it. I don't, but I do. Like, it would be cool, but he's already got so much. Let's give it to somebody else like Stafford or Murray. Mike Edwards. If you know who Mike Edwards is, he's the strong safety for the Buccaneers. Came up with 2 big pick sixes in the fourth quarter. I won't say big because it was already, I think it was 35-25. But he intercepted the ball twice, ran it back for a touchdown twice, and pretty much just put the nails in the coffin, if you will. Gets 4 touchdowns this season alone so far. It's pretty crazy because he's a year off of retirement. Like, last year he was his first year back from retirement, and this is his second year, obviously. 1, 2, 3. But I feel like Brady's targeting him. Goodness, talk words don't come out right. No, but I believe Brady's targeting him more than anybody else down in the red zone. And I don't know if that's going to cause problems in the locker room because at the beginning of the game, Tom Brady seemed like he come out and started forcing the ball to Mike Evans. And when he overthrew Mike Evans or something, Mike Evans was visibly upset. So I don't know if there's already something going on or in the behind curtains, I guess. I guess we'll just have to see moving forward. I say that a lot, I know, but I think next game's going to be a big game for them to see how they play and stuff. Because I mean, you gotta take Mike Evans' side on this. It's like, why are you just giving him all the touchdowns? I've been here since I've been drafted, and I deserve a little compensation. And I don't know. It could get sticky because I feel like Brady is passing to. There was a couple passes he threw to Antonio Brown, but the cornerback Terrell Jr. batted both of them down, and they were brilliant passes. And I just feel like he's trying to force it to his guys, and I don't think that's going to look good for him going forward. But enough of Tom Brady and the Broncos. Let's move on to Titans. Take it in overtime against the Seahawks. 33-30. This was a fantastic game, it looks like. I did not watch any of this game. I watched maybe a little bits and pieces of it. I think I did watch the field goal at the end. Woo. But I really, really should have watched this game, but I was too caught up in a couple other games that I was keeping an eye on, that teams I kind of wanted to win or players I wanted to do great. They did not. Just saying. Okay. Russell Wilson doing his thing without a running game. And I guess you could kind of say this for the past couple years, ever since the Legion of Boom has been gone. Russell Wilson is on his own in Seattle, and and he's still putting up numbers like crazy. He had, I think, over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Carson, their running back, had 2 touchdowns, but he only had like 30-something yards. So their running game is struggling. Hopefully they can get it turned around for Russell Wilson's sake, because I'd like to see him win another one before he goes out, which I'm not saying he's about to retire or anything, but it's not looking good for his team right now. Derrick Henry for Titans, switching sides of the ball, is a monster. He had over 230 yards. He played tremendous, and he had 3 rushing touchdowns. This guy is proven why he is the best running back in the league, or at least arguably the best running back in the league. Tannehill, I had this thought coming out of week 1 was like, is Tannehill just good because of Derrick Henry being good? Or is this a thing, or is he just suffering from 1-year wonder syndrome or something like that, But I think Tannehill is just really good when his running back's good, because you have a lot of room to work with when your running back's running for over 180 yards. Play action's open all day for you. With him running this much, because I was looking at the stats, I was like, man, Bobby Wagner had 20 tackles. When you're going up against Derrick Henry, you better have some tackles. Vikings start 0-2 after being defeated by the Arizona Cardinals. I think it was 34-33. Tough loss, tough break for the Vikings. Played absolutely phenomenal, but they're going up against a red-hot Kyle Murray. Picks up right where he left off from week 1, going for 400 yards. I believe 3 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. Did have 2 bad picks, but still got the win, so that's all that matters for him, I guess. The big question I got going forward, is he the next Michael Vick? I think he's Michael Vick, but maybe with a better arm and maybe not running as much, because, I mean, he's no Lamar. Lamar is running for 100 yards a game, but he can run when he needs to. It's just he doesn't choose to because he's such a good pocket passer. And I don't know. I wouldn't really compare him to Michael Vick, because Michael Vick was more like, I don't know how to describe it. More of a human joystick and stuff. Kyle Murray, I feel, is here to play. I felt like early Michael Vick was there to. No doubt he was there to play, but he was there to make money. He was there to show off a little bit, and he had a right to. I mean, when you're that good, you're that good. Cousins played great, just like he always does. Plays great and just cannot come out on top. That's been his story for his whole life. Not his whole life, but his whole NFL career. He always seemed to get washed in the playoffs, but when the playoffs come around, he didn't get a playoff win. So I don't know. He threw for 244 and 3 touchdowns, 0 picks. He's playing fantastic this year. And even Devlin Cook had over 131 yards rushing. And you got to start wondering what happened. How did they not win this game? And honestly, they just beat themselves. When you go 2 of 10 for third downs, I don't think you're winning a game unless your defense is fantastic. And I would have to say the Vikings defense let them down this game. I mean, when you score 33 points, you expect to win. It's not given, but I mean, you got to guarantee it almost. I mean, your defense has got to stop them at least once or twice, right? Which they did get 2 picks, but still come up short. So I think the big key to this game was third downs for the Vikings. They could not convert, and it paid the price. Okay, moving on to the LA Rams. Hard-fought victory over the Indianapolis Colts. This game was shocking. I mean, the final score was 27-24, if that tells you anything. Colts with Carson Wentz played very well. And Stafford, I would have to say, struggled a little bit in this game compared to week 1. He threw for 19 of 30 and 2 touchdowns, and he threw a pretty bad pick. It was a Jameis Winston type pick. He overthrew everybody except the defender. Cooper Kupp, you got to kind of think he kind of saved the day in this one because 9 catches, 163 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I had a brilliant day. And third right now in receiving for the NFL. So having a brilliant season. The Rams in trouble with Carson Wentz, man. He was playing pretty great, and he ended up taking a pretty hard shot there toward the end. And I don't mean to laugh, but had 2 sprained ankles. I could not imagine 2 sprained ankles because I had a severe sprained ankle a long time ago, and it sucked. So having 2, which I don't think it's severe because it's day to day, but you got to think the Rams were probably in trouble because Carson Wentz was playing lights out. He was bulleting the ball like he usually does, and his receivers were helping him. He was making great passes, great reads. He went out. I mean, Jalen Ramsey got a pick, which that other quarterback I think did throw a touchdown, but I don't know. I just think if Wentz was in, it would have been a different game. But let's move on to the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. That is so weird to me. But they beat the Steelers 26-17. Not a good outing for the Steelers. Are the Steelers in trouble with Big Ben? Big Ben, I think, threw 27 of 30 or 40. That we're usually seeing like 37 of 47 or something like that from Big Ben, or 30 of 40, whatever you want to say. So seeing this was kind of like, whoa, is Father Time catching up to Big Ben? I would say most likely because Big Ben, if you've watched him back in his previous years, he was always the guy that he would get hurt, but he would always play. He kind of come in when the NFL was kind of getting softer. I hate to use the term softer, but you look at the 90s and 80s. I mean, it was such a different sport then because we're not going to go back to the 60s because face mask was legal back in the 60s. But you look at how big of hits were going on, and Big Ben kind of come in when the hits were still allowed and stuff, and he took a lot of punishment. So you have to think his body's worn down. But he got outplayed by Derek Carr. Didn't think I would ever say that, which, I mean, I've never been I hate the Steelers. They're one of my most hated teams. But Derek Carr played lights out. He's playing phenomenal right now. He had a pretty bad pick in week 1 in the overtime victory against the Ravens. He had a bad pick, but he answered with a 30-yard touchdown throw to win the game. So he's playing phenomenal right now. Had 2 touchdowns in this one, I believe. I didn't write his stats down. I do apologize for that. But are the Raiders a real contender? You know, they've beaten the Ravens and now the Steelers, which I guess you could say the Steelers aren't really that much of a contender anymore. But no, you got to think the Raiders are. I'm not going to say they're going to win a Super Bowl this year because they still got to go through Kansas City. They still got to go through Tom Brady. And can they beat the Ravens again in the playoffs? I don't know. I think they got a win in the playoffs maybe this year if they can keep up their play and everybody stays healthy. But they're playing phenomenal. They are playing phenomenal ball right now. And let's move on. Speaking of the Chiefs, let's move on to the Chiefs. They cannot rally against the Ravens. 36-35 was the final score. Yeah, that's right. It was a good game. It was good to the last second. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, God bless him, he fumbled and lost the game for him, sadly. Kind of like the Damian Harris story, which I'll probably talk about here in a little bit. Actually, no. Yeah, I'll talk about it here in a little bit. But I think the real key to the game was Tyreek Hill. 3 catches for 14 yards. That's you got to get your playmakers involved and give credit to the Ravens defense. They stopped him. I mean, it was a fantastic game. And these corners, man, they don't get paid enough to cover Tyreek Hill. But moving on to Pat Mahomes, played absolutely fantastic. 343 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Really did all this without Tyreek Hill. Well, he did do all this without Tyreek Hill. There was no pretty much. And Travis Kelce had a touchdown, I think. Maybe a pair of touchdowns. I can't remember. But absolutely fantastic. And Chiefs. Playing like the Chiefs from last year. They cannot stop the run attack. They cannot stop anybody from running the ball. Which, I mean, you got to give them a little pass because this is the Ravens. This is Lamar Jackson you're dealing with. So it's not that hard to see why they give up, 251 yards rushing. I'm not sure if anybody can really hold the Ravens to under 100 yards. I don't think that's possible, but you've got to manage them, I guess. Manage them more in a way. But let's go on and talk about, actually, from here on out, I'm just going to tell you some scores. I'm not going to dive deep into the game like I've been with the past 4 or 5, but I'm just going to go through some scores, kind of bring up some points in the game. I'm not going to talk nearly as long as I did this time. Eagles take an L to the 49ers, 17-11. A very good defensive game. If you love defense, this was your game. You love offense, you probably found this very boring. But a very good game. Hurts kind of struggled in this one. I mean, they're playing a good Niners defense, so I'll give them a pass. Bears avenge a week 1 loss by beating the Bengals. 17. This was one of the games I was talking about earlier that I had a keen eye on. I wanted to watch this game all the way through. And I wish I hadn't because I love Joe Burrow. If you know my story, I'm a big LSU guy. Not this season. They suck this season. No, I still love them, but we're going through some troubles this season. But the Bengals, they struggled offensively. Joe Burrow threw three interceptions. Late, he got two touchdowns back. One to Jamar Chase, which is his LSU teammate. Joe Burrow's got to do better. He tried to force some in that wasn't there. And give props to the Bears defense. They played fantastic. And another big key point was Andy Dalton got injured. And so we got to see Justin Fields actually in the game instead of just like one play. And it was very lackluster. I can see why they want to hold him out a year. And Andy Dalton, I hope he makes a full recovery, which I think he's going to. He's planned to be starter, I think. Or they're looking for. If he's healthy, he's going to be starter next week. But he did a little like juke out of bounds, and his calf really just tweaked, and it looked like an Achilles injury to me. Because if you watch Kobe, KD, the guys who tore their Achilles, when you tear your Achilles, it kind of shrivels up into your calf, and it kind of looked like that with Andy Dalton. He come back in though and threw a couple passes, and it was like, no, I can't go. But hopefully he makes a full recovery and gets back. I know Bears fans do not want him in the game at all, but he's not a horrible quarterback. I could think of a couple worse ones. Bills gift the Dolphins the first shutout of this NFL season with 35-0. This has got to be a tough pill to swallow if you're a Dolphins fan or just the Dolphins in general. Which Tua Tagovailoa did get injured during the game and come out. I think it was kind of later, but he's not living up to his Alabama potential that everybody thought he would. Maybe it's where he had surgery coming in. I don't know. The Dolphins do lose, and I kind of have a problem with Tua going out because I don't think it was that too serious of an injury. So I don't know. I'm not going to judge somebody for not coming back in the game. But let's move on to the Saints. Take a whipping from the Panthers, 26-7. Jameis Winston, is he back on the Bucs? Hello. He turned it over 3 times and only 1 touchdown. Only 111 yards passing through the air. A very bad day, especially from the one from week 1 when he threw for 5 touchdowns. He pulled a Brady, and then he pulled a Eli. No, I love Eli Manning. But Browns take a win against the Texans, 31-21. To be honest, I did not watch any of this game. I haven't even watched highlights of it. This was a stat game for me. But it looked like Baker did pretty decent. No, Tyrod Taylor ended up going out with a hamstring injury. I believe it was hamstring. So maybe it would have been a different game if Tyrod was in because he's playing pretty good right now. And I've always liked Tyrod Taylor. I wanted him on the Redskins a couple times. But let's move on to the Jags. They are still bad as they fall to the Broncos 13-27 or 23. Yeah, my bad. This is still a struggling Jaguars team, and you can see that. And I didn't expect them to be fantastic this year by any means. I love Urban Meyer, and I love what he did with Florida and Ohio State. This was bad. They're starting out bad. Trey Lawrence is starting out bad. We'll talk about him a little later in the show. Pats show their strength against the Jets, 25-6. I don't know if you could really call beating the Jets showing your strength, but the Patriots aren't what they were. So I guess I'll still say that. Damian Harris, if you know Damian, he's kind of like the local phenomenon here. He come from Madison Southern, and he plays for the Patriots. I think he's starting for the Patriots, if I'm not mistaken. Week 1, he had a big fumble that cost the Patriots the game. This week, he channeled his inner beast mode. And if you don't know who beast mode is, I'm sorry for you. No, get off my podcast. Go. No, but beast mode is Marshawn Lynch. If you haven't seen the run by Marshawn Lynch against the Saints in the playoffs, go look it up right now. I'll wait. Back? Okay. So he broke like 4 tackles and drug 4 people into the end zone with him. It was a fantastic run, a good a good redemption right there from fumbling a week ago. The Packers bounced back against the Lions 35-17. This was a well-needed victory for the Packers because me coming off the game of last week, I was like, okay, so Aaron Rodgers debacle, the whole drama situation has really hurt this Packers team. And this week, it showed that it wasn't. It was just pretty much Aaron Rodgers' preseason game. So they bounced back. Aaron Jones and Aaron Rodgers killed it out there. Aaron Jones had 4 total touchdowns, running back for the Packers. Let's move on to a segment I want to do here pretty regularly, and that's the good and the bad of this week. So this week will be week 2. So let's jump into it with the good. We got Kyle Murray with 431 total yards of offense with 4 touchdowns. This would have been back-to-back weeks for him because he definitely would have made it last week. He had 5 total touchdowns, I believe, and absolutely killed it. And this week was no different. He picked up right where we left off. Played fantastic football. Maybe the next Michael Vick with a better arm. I don't know. We'll see. Tom Brady, and these are in no particular order by any means. Tom Brady, killing Father Time. Yeah, Father Time's usually undefeated, but with Tom Brady, he's prolonging the inevitable, which I like seeing. He had 276 total passing yards, and actually he had like 280 something total yards because he had a pretty decent run for a 44-year-old. 5 passing touchdowns. Fantastic game. Chasing that MVP that he wants, I believe, and rightly so. 9 touchdowns within the first 2 weeks. I don't think I would have put him on here last week because he did have two picks, which I guess weren't his fault if you look at it right. But Derrick Henry is our next person of the good. Proves he is the best running back in the NFL with his 237-yard performance, total yards, and 3 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. Completely had a fantastic game, a big redemption from him from having like 50 yards last game. But when somebody's got a target on your back, like he does, I mean, you're going to have a couple bad games. It's just inevitable. But he was able to overcome it in a big way with 237 yards and 3 touchdowns. Moving on. I actually was going to just do 5, but I wrote this list before Monday Night Football, and I should not have. Okay. Aaron Jones, 115 total yards of offense with 4 total touchdowns, 3 receiving, 1 rushing. Had an absolute baller of a day. Yes, I said baller. Get over it. But really helped the Packers to this big win. Well, I wouldn't say a big win, but this was a well-needed win. Cooper Kupp, 9 catches, 163 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Actually, probably would say 158 total yards because he had a rush that was -5. But anyway, Cooper Kupp, I think he saved the Rams from a big defeat this game, and it was nice to see Cooper Kupp come out on top. It really was. He's number 3 in the league in receiving right now. And for these lists, I know it's easy to pick out the offensive players of the week, but I'm going to try to do a defensive player every week, at least one. This week, we already talked about him a little bit. Mike Edwards. He had a career day, 4 tackles, 2 interceptions, and those 2 interceptions led to 2 touchdowns. 2 pick sixes. I love it. Had a fantastic day, really helped. I think the Buccaneers had it under control, but he's like, nah, I'm going to do this myself, and I'm going to make sure the Falcons aren't going to come back like Tom Brady did on them. Let's move on to the bad of week 2. There's some pretty big names on this list, so you are warned if you look. Jameis Winston, he's known, but he's not well known. Well, I guess he's well known for 30. If you know, you know. Was back at the Bucks because I sure felt like it. I felt like I was watching the Buccaneers again. 111 yards, a touchdown, and 3 two interceptions and a fumble. Played very bad this game after having a brilliant first game. And I after watching the first game, I tried to do this pod or a week 1 podcast. For some reason, every time I tried to do it, something bad would happen. Audio wouldn't work, video wouldn't work. I don't know. It was bad. But Jameis, there was one play in the first half of his first game where he drops back. He surveys the field and there's nobody open, and he just launches it out of bounds. And the Buccaneers, Jameis Winston, try to fit it in somewhere, and it would usually get picked, and that's why he's had 30 interceptions. But hopefully he can recover from this. I don't know. Zach Wilson, quarterback for the Jets. Are the Jets in trouble? 210 total yards passing, 0 touchdowns, and 4 INTs, interceptions. It was not a good game for Zach Wilson. And we'll get a little bit more into rookie quarterbacks this year, but not a great year for him. Tyreek Hill, 3 catches, 14 yards. It was inevitable that he's going to be on this list. You got to give credit to the Ravens defense. They really held him when they needed to. Alvin Kamara. This one was pretty disappointing because I'm knowing Alvin Kamara, he's such a great, like, when he doesn't have a good rushing game, he usually backs it up with a good receiving game, and he did not do it this time. Something just popped up on my screen. Sorry, I was distracted. 8 carries, 5 yards, 0 touchdowns. 4 catches, 25 yards, 0 touchdowns. Not a great day. 30 total yards on 12 touches. Almost less than 2 yards per touch. Moving on with another former Saints running back, Mark Ingram. 14 carries, 41 yards, 0 touchdowns. And these past 2 weeks, he's only averaged about 3 yards per carry, which is not good for an NFL running back. It's not. And he in the wrong place? Probably. But I gotta stick with my defensive player. And I hate to put him on this list because I'll just get into him. JJ Watt is not feeling himself this year as he's a Cardinal. I think 2 tackles, 0 sacks. I guess this could have led Jamie Collins to his 5-sack outing in week 1. But JJ Watt is 0 sacks so far, which I don't expect him to come out and have 20 sacks like he used to. Because he's just older. His body's been through a lot. He's had multiple surgeries. So is Father Time catching up to JJ Watt a little earlier than it should? Nah, maybe. I hope not, because I like JJ Watt personally. He's a great player. One of the most dominant players we've seen since Lawrence Taylor. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. That will be it for the good and the bad of week 2. Now we're just going to move on to a few topics. Rookie quarterbacks this season are not playing up to what they need to. Speaking of Zach Lawrence, Zach Lawrence. What? Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence. Oh my gosh. Trey Lance, which Trey Lance hasn't really seen the field that much. And Justin Fields did not play good when he had an opportunity with the Bears. And Trevor Lawrence has been a big disappointment for me. And this week he struggled against, I guess you could, I want to say a bad Broncos team, but they're looking pretty good right now. I like the way they're playing. Teddy Bridgewater is an absolute beast right now. May have found his permanent home for the rest of his career, hopefully. May have found his home for the rest of his career. Sure hope so, because when he was with the Vikings, I'm not going to say a top 5. He was about a top 15 quarterback in the league, I would say. Working his way up pretty good, and an injury struck. And then he got shipped off to... he got shipped off to the Saints. He didn't play much, and then the Panthers last season. And then we got to see him so far this season, and he's playing great. He's the missing piece that the Broncos need, And are the Broncos a contending team? We talked about the Raiders early on, but the Broncos are playing just as well in a way. I don't think their defense is top of the line, and that's why I have problem with Trevor Lawrence struggling against them because I don't think they're that great of a defense. Von Miller is aging fast, and I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overlooking Trevor Lawrence because I haven't watched much of him. I just kind of went by stats the past couple of weeks, but I'm not impressed with what I've seen. And I had doubts coming in because his mindset seemed to be, I don't need football. So I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see moving forward. Into another segment I'm going to be doing here weekly and even when the NBA hits. That is my power rankings for the week, or leading from the week, I guess. Bucks number one. I mean, it's pretty obvious their defense is top of the line. Tom Brady is still top of his game. I don't think the dude's ever going to slow down. Knocked on wood. No, but Bucks, I mean, they're obviously the favorite right now, coming off the Super Bowl and two pretty big wins. Or I wouldn't say two big wins, but one was close, and then they kind of blew out the Falcons. Let's move on to the Rams and number two. Maybe a little higher than they should be. I don't know, but I feel Matthew Stafford is the missing piece they've needed. I don't think they really truly had a lot of faith in Jared Goff. And that's why they went out and traded straight up with a first round draft pick as well. Because I think Matthew Stafford is their missing piece. And it's going to take him probably this whole season to get used to their offense because he's never played in the bootleg before. And he's having to boot. And week one, he did fantastic. This week, slowed down from his week one performance, but still played good. We're just going to have to see moving forward. Number three, I'm going with the Chiefs. I know they just got beat by the Ravens, but it's hard for me to doubt the Chiefs' offense because they can score 30 within a matter of a half easily. That's all you need. It's really all you need. Could their defense be a hamper in them going forward? It's definitely possible. Somebody needs to step up on their defense, like Tyrann Mathieu, to stop the run. I'm not saying he can do it by himself, but players have to step up for them defensively. Ravens at my number four. They should probably be at number three, but I just haven't seen enough of Lamar this season. He's played great running the ball, but passing the ball, he seems to have struggled a little bit. And you Lamar Jackson fans out there, I'm sorry that it's the truth. He threw 2 picks against a bad Chiefs team, and if it wasn't for the running game, I think the Chiefs take that game away from them pretty easily. And that's just me. That's me looking forward and stuff. I don't know. Okay, number 5, I have the Arizona Cardinals. Probably a lot higher than they should be, but I have faith in Kyle Murray. Kyle Murray is a beast. I love to see Kyle Murray. He's a great talent. And they got a pretty decent defense right now. So they're making their way up. So we'll see what it holds for them. Hopefully they can keep a good win streak going. Kyle Murray can stay in the MVP vote. We'll see. But moving forward, I got another topic here. What will winning an MVP do for these particular players? And I got 5 players listed out, most of them quarterbacks, because that's all that wins the MVP nowadays. Tom Brady, what will winning an MVP do for Tom Brady? Will it do anything? He's already the greatest sports person of all time. I'm not saying he's the most athletic. I'm not saying he's the most skilled, but I mean, come on. 7 Super Bowls. Not that enough said right there for me. But I'm not sure. Maybe to be like, okay, because I read some posts today where people are dogging Tom Brady, saying he's not the best. I don't understand that, but I mean, people have their opinions, even though they're wrong. Tom Brady is the best. I'm sorry if you hate Tom Brady, you hate Tom Brady, but stop denying people's talents. And Tom Brady is very talented, and he's the best player. He's definitely the best quarterback in the NFL, without a doubt, to me. Okay, moving on to Derrick Henry. What would an MVP do for Mr. Derrick Henry? It would do a lot for his legacy going forward. He he's already slated as the best running back in the NFL. So this would probably scooch him up to probably like number 10 all time. And if he keeps it going and stays healthy, then he's got a big road ahead of him. He's reminding me of AP with like when AP first come into the league. And Derrick Henry has a chance to have like 2,300 yards this season. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but with 17 games, it is very plausible for him to have 21 to 22, 2,300 yards with 20 touchdowns. I would not be shocked at all. And if they go like 14 and 3, that could definitely be enough for him to win MVP. Moving on to Pat Mahomes, I think it would probably solidify him as a future Hall of Famer, which I think he probably already is slated as a future Hall of Famer. But to have two MVPs already this early in his career would be crazy, man. It would be, but it would go to the debate. Like he can win all these single person achievements, but can he win the Super Bowl over and over like Tom does? We'll just have to see going forward because we're very early in the season. But Matthew Stafford, I think it would move him into the top 5 quarterback of the league without a doubt because I think he already is, but it's hard to say that because he's had some bad seasons and it's which I mean you got to give him a pass because he was with the Detroit Lions and he's had some incredible seasons with just one receiver. So it would it would do a lot for him. I think his confidence would go through the roof in a good way. Kyle Murray, um, once again I think it'll pop him into the top 5 spot and maybe solidify him as the next Michael Vick, maybe a better Michael Vick, better thrower Michael Vick. I don't think it's very plausible that he will make it, but I mean anything's possible. Anything is possible in the way he's playing right now. Hopefully he can keep it up. Hopefully he can. I don't think he can. Not saying he can't, but his team can't. But we'll see. We'll see. The NFL, this is a fantastic year to be a football fan. There's some amazing games. It is very competitive this season. I love it so far. Moving on to college football. Woo! I tried to do it, but oh. And one of my buddies, Jake, the one I do some gaming with or used to. I'm kind of holding off on gaming right now so I can focus on getting this on track and then I'll work on my gaming getting on track. But there's a dark side like in wrestling they come out with this thing called Dark Side of the Ring. It does like the dirty like not dirty stuff but kind of shows you the stuff that Vince McMahon, who's the owner of the WWE, doesn't want you to see, or Vince Russo, who was over WCW. They don't want you to see some of this stuff, and it's really cool because you get to see some stuff that you wouldn't know otherwise. And so supposedly they did one on the Raiders, Dark Side of the NFL or football. I'm not sure what it's titled. Sounds interesting. I'm gonna have to look it up. But let's get into it. Michigan State stomps on number 24 Miami. Kind of saw this coming a little bit. The final score was 38-17. Miami, man. They seem to crumble when they're ranked. I don't know why. They do great and they'll beat a ranked team. Then they'll come into the rankings. They'll lose. And I'm just like, what are y'all doing? Are y'all getting so overconfident, so arrogant? Or is it just the pressure is too much for you? Because if you look at Miami, there's a lot of Hall of Famers that have come from Miami. Sean Taylor, which he should have been a Hall of Famer if he hadn't died early. Ed Reed's a Hall of Famer. So is Ray Lewis, Warren Sapp. Uh, they got a crap ton, especially defense. They had some offense too. Kellen Winslow Jr., Jeremy Shockey. Yeah, well, I'm not going. Michigan State, you got to think they were probably heading into this game the best unranked team in the nation. They showed it. Now, hopefully they get ranked because they were definitely underrated. Which I just think Miami's always overrated. I love Miami because, like I said, a lot of people in the NFL come from Miami, and or like your big players, thousands. So I love Miami, but that they just cannot keep it together when they get ranked. It's bad. Number 16, Coastal Carolina squeaks by Buffalo 28-25. Watch this game. I don't even know who Coastal Carolina is. Well, no, I do, but to be ranked 16, I feel like that's kind of high. And it proved it right here. They almost lost to Buffalo. Why are they top 25? Why? Is there something I don't know about them? Is there something amazing that I don't know about them? I don't know. Obviously not from what I've seen on stats. But let's move on. West Virginia upsets number 15 Virginia Tech 27-21. Uh, once again, it's West Virginia. Just like Michigan State, they always have decent recruiting, so they're going to be a decent team every year. So see them take on it or beat a team like Virginia Tech, and they were number 15, granted, but I don't know. Just uh, West Virginia ran all over them, and to see that is kind of weird because when I think of Virginia Tech, I always think of a good defense because there's a lot of defensive players that come from Virginia Tech that are pretty decent players. I think Redskins Fuller, Kendall Fuller. I could be very wrong. No, he may have come from Clemson. No, I don't know. But I know D'Angelo Hall come from Virginia Tech, so I always kind of pictured them as a defense. Man, my voice died. And they had a chance to come back, and they could not pull off the comeback, sadly. And I don't know why I said sadly. I don't care. I don't like either of these teams. But if you do, sadly, they didn't come back. Number 3, Oklahoma barely beats Nebraska. This was another game that was it was tough. I don't know why I didn't write the score down because I did not watch this game, but this kind of brings up the conversation with Texas and Oklahoma wanting to come to the SEC. They should not. Quick answer to that, but the reasons they shouldn't is, well, I mean, I got both sides. They should because they will become a better school. They'll become better competitors, and they'll be just an all-around better team. But it's going to take them a couple years to do that. They're not going to do that overnight. And my hand was covering the mic. Hopefully that didn't interrupt it too much. But they should not become SEC because they won't be that ranked, because even SEC unranked teams like Mississippi State and South Carolina, they are very good schools to like. They put up very good fights, and I always feel like when not Tennessee, Texas and Oklahoma take on like a top 15 SEC team. Well, I meant like top 15 nation ranked, and then but they're SEC. I don't know. But when they take on a good SEC team, they end up losing. I just feel that way. It just the past couple years have been like that. So probably not in their best interest, but they do have 4 years to build on it, because I think their contracts end in 2025. So I guess we'll just have to see. But number 6 Clemson crawls past Georgia Tech 14-8, and that was a perfect writing right there. They barely crawled out of that game alive. And Clemson's struggling offensively. They're struggling without Trey Lawrence. I don't know. When I watch them, they don't seem like they have a lot of offensive rhythm. They don't have they don't have it together. And maybe they need to make a couple changes. I don't know. I'm not a coach, but if I was, I would probably make some changes offensively because it seems to be not working out right now. Their defense, on the other hand, are playing off the charts. They're playing fantastic. They're right up there with Penn State and uh, Ohio's defense, Ohio State, which didn't do great last time they played. But okay, are Clemson is Clemson Tigers in trouble? Are they in trouble? I would say yes. I think the next team they play that's a ranked team, or maybe even just a good team like a Michigan State that's unranked, they're probably being defeated if they got a good offense, because their offense cannot outscore anybody hardly. Their defense won them this game against Georgia Tech, and it was clear to see that. Even by just looking at stats, you can tell their defense won for them. Moving on to Bama holds off number one. Bama holds off number 11 Florida in the swamps as well, 31-29. This was game of the week by far. I didn't really expect much from Florida, but they really come in and played their butts off. I was very disappointed when it went up 21-3. I was like, oh, another Bama blowout like we always see. But Florida fought back and played terrific, especially in the second half. Bama could not stop the run in this one. Jones, the quarterback for Florida, got it going, and he didn't pass the ball particularly well, but he got it going running, and he got his team going. And if it wasn't for a missed field goal early on, this could have been a different outcome. We could have got a couple overtimes, which would have been absolutely cool. But Young, the running back or quarterback for Bama, this was his first away game, I believe, and this was what a first game to go to Florida and beat Florida. That's a tough place to play, and he showed his composure. He showed his skill, his talent, and got him through. So he's playing fantastic right now. Not sure if it's good enough to win in Heisman yet, but we'll see. Number 10, Penn State stays undefeated against number 22 Auburn, 28-20. Kind of a little overstatement there. They're only 3-0, but still undefeated. I mean, you can't discount undefeatedness. No, but one main focus in this game was how was Bo Nix going to compare to Clifford, which is Bo Nix is a starter for Auburn and Clifford is a starter for Penn State, and Clifford outplayed Bo Nix, which I didn't really expect. I definitely expected Penn State defense to really step up because they are a terrific defense, and they showed that against who was it? Wisconsin. Definitely showed some grit and determination, and this was I'm not gonna say it was a fun game to watch because the refs killed this game for me, but if you take the refs out of the picture, all the plays, all the screw ups they had, this was a great game. And Bo Nix should not have played this bad because he's been with the Auburn Tigers for a bit now, and he should not have played this bad. But what can you do when you're taking on a top 10 defense? Worst refereed game I've probably seen in a long time, probably ever. Let's be honest, and not counting Pee-wee games and stuff. But who cares about those? This at one point, Penn State punted the ball on third down because the refs did not know it was third down. It was ridiculous. Some of the flags, some of the penalties that were being called were ticky tack. They missed a couple calls. I think Bo Nix had an intentional grounding that should have been called. Um, it was a bad game, and one of the worst plays was Auburn got down inside the 5 yard line, and they did a pass, and the guy caught it and was getting tackled, and he had turned, and he was going to dive for the end zone, and it was clear that he was. And I'm not sure what the player's name is, but he was number 9 for Penn State. Kind of dove at him. Didn't even. He may have hit helmet to helmet a little bit because I mean when you're both diving, but he led with his shoulder and clocked the guy, and good right, and he was called for targeting, and he was ejected from the game, and it was one of the worst calls I've ever seen because this shows you how bad the league, any league, is right now in football because they try to protect the players a little too much, and they changed the game. They changed the outcome, or that they could have changed the outcome. They didn't. But when he dove, I could talk about this all day. I really could. It ticks me off. It really does. And when he found out he got ejected, he fell to his knees and started. I'm not sure if he was crying because I'm not going to say he was because I don't know. But it looked like he was in like pain because I mean, what are you supposed to do in that situation if that's going to be a flag? I'm going to hit the dude every time and get ejected to save a touchdown, which could have changed the outcome of the game. Whoever those refs were, I wish they would not be refs anymore. That's all I'm going to say about that. Moving on to number 23, BYU slays number 19, Arizona State, 27-17. Wow, that was kind of announcy-ish. That was weird. Don't know much about this game. I fell asleep during it because it was pretty late. And number 13, UCLA defense fails them against Fresno State, 40-37. Not a great performance by UCLA, but that's another team kind of like Miami. They get in the top 20, 25, and they just fall out because I don't know if the pressure is too much, if the fans are just too much for them. I don't know, but it always seems to go that way for types of teams. And I lost another wall, so I'm just going to sit like this for it. But that will be it for this episode of Sports Hour. Thank you for joining me on Sports Hour. Hopefully next week Anthony can join me because like I said, I do have a scheduled out. So hopefully it can all work out. But make sure y'all like this video, subscribe, and turn on your notifications for updates when we post. And thank you so much for watching this video. I hope I was kind of entertaining. I know it. Oh gosh, I'm falling apart here. Don't look at my madness. But thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next.